It's just going to be a quick video where I go over best build for each class in Gauntlet, including what I think is best if you just want to ding level 90. So I threw this together pretty quickly, and there's a lot of different builds on here, so I don't have the POBs each class, so some of them are just what I could find. They're not optimal, so you might want to do your own research if one of these builds stands out to you, just because POBs thrown in here might not be optimized for Gauntlet. You might want to look for a different one that may be a little bit more defensive or something. So the best build for just hitting level 90 is RF Inquisitor, in my opinion. It's probably the easiest build to level, and then also maintain some relevancy in maps as well. It's got pretty decent damage, and it's really, really, really easy to level. It's once you get your second lab, it's really hard to die, and you do decent damage as well. So you can also do, it's not on this list, but Bone Shatter Juggernaut would also be a really good build to hit level 90 with, but the downside on it, and why I don't have it included here, is because it is just, leveling a Marauder is pain, and if you're not super comfortable with Gauntlet, it's not going to be super fun. I mean, it's not terrible, but yeah. Another build that I think would be really good is Dead Necromancer. The skill is banned, right? But banning skills in this gauntlet only matters if you're going to do bosses. So if you're not going to do bosses, you can use the banned skills. Dead Necro is a really good one. It gets good damage with like no gear, and it maps well, and it's tanky. It's also quite easy to level. Seismic Trap Sabo. If you just prefer the trap gameplay, it's decent. You could try Fire Trap as well. Saboteur is a little bit harder to survive on, so if you're not comfortable, I wouldn't really recommend those ones. I'd stick with RF Inquis, DD Necro, or Bone Shatter Jug. That's probably my order of those builds in ranking for hitting just level 90. Marauder. Now I'm just going on to each individual class, not necessarily just at level 90. Bone Shatter Juggernaut, and then you could also have the option of farming out Poison SRS gear. You probably wouldn't do that on Jug though, because you just do everything on Bone Shatter because you're overwhelmingly tanky. Duelist. You have a few options here. You can go Bone Shatter or Toxic Rain or Spark to level up and then farm gear for switching to Poison SRS Champion. For bossing, yeah. Bone Shatter is a little bit weird. I mean, I've watched some people do it. I haven't tried it, but you like abuse Divine Shield. You'd have to find the tree yourself. I don't have it. Toxic Rain, or Spark. This POB here goes Spark into the SRS setup. So if you're interested in that, you can do that. Spark Champion looked pretty good whenever I saw people watching it, or whenever I was watching it. Which, Cremation Necro, and this is essentially a DD at home. Its Cremation is literally just dead. So there's more screen clutter, and it does a little bit more less damage. The upside is your EO uptime will be really high, pretty much 100% on cremation, so this makes up for it doing less damage. There's also a bug with Corpse Walker, which, as far as I know, is allowed to abuse. You're allowed to abuse it. If you get Corpse Walker, it'll spawn corpses, but it'll spawn the corpses before they had the HP nerf, so it's like you're using the old life values, and you get a lot more damage this way. You could also use Body Swap if you wanted to. I don't like Body Swap. Your EO uptime is going to be really bad, but it has more base damage. Shadow, Fire Trap / Flamethrower Trap Sabo, and then you'd swap Blade Trap for bossing. I don't have the POB on that, so that's on you, but if you're gonna be swapping the Blade Trap, or want to swap the Blade Trap and you're actually serious about bossing, you probably will have that POB. Toxic Rain Pathfinder. You'd level this as like poison concoction, probably. Yeah, definitely. And then you'd farm porcupine maps. I think it's in gardens, whatever. You'd farm your bow, and then you can go toxic rain. It would be pretty okay. I mean, with Master Surgeon and you get flask uptime 100%. You should be pretty good for mapping. Templar, RF Inquisitor, already kind of went through that. I did do a test run of this. I mean, it was my last video I uploaded for this one. So you can kind of see what the early game looks like on that. And the swap, it's really smooth actually. I'm debating starting it, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to stick with Cremation Necro. And then you'd swap to Poison SRS Guardian for bossing, or you can also stay RF and Quiz and just stay insanely tanky but have ZDPS. Scion, yeah, I don't know. Don't play this, but you'd eventually go Poison SRS. What you do before that, I don't really know. Here are other builds that are viable for Gauntlet in general, but not the best necessarily. Still pretty close, and you can play them if you want to, but it's not really recommended. But they're okay, but I really wouldn't recommend playing them, so I'm not going to give you a PoB for any of these, so you need to find it yourself if you really want to play it. Body swap Necro, I mean, you kind of have a PoB for that. That's the Cremation, just swap Cremation or DD out for body swap. Spark Inquisitor, I did a little bit of a test this. It was okay. But you lack projectile speed on this, and it would be probably pretty painful scaling into higher tier maps. Spark Champion, just watched some people play it. It seemed pretty decent, actually. You could definitely play that in the reds. I mean, you can play all these builds in the red maps and T16 plus, but some better than others. Spark Champion is definitely better than Spark Inquisitor. From what I've seen, I don't know. It's kind of a weird build though, because you have to damage yourself, so you might die to that. So, Spark Inquisitor if you're not comfortable, Spark Champion if you are comfortable with Gauntlet. Then you can do Explosive Trap Inquisitor for bossing, although it's kind of rough to get the gear for that. You're really gonna have to farm a lot. Explosive Trap Saboteur for bossing. Same thing, kind of rough on the gear. Jug RF, rough on the damage, and it's just beaten by Bone Zone, but I mean, it would be more like a Fire Trap character than RF. Explosive Arrow Champion. I don't like this build at all. Nobody likes this build. If you like this build, you're probably Zizarin. All I can think about this is when Ben couldn't handle it and just deleted the character in some Gauntlet some time ago. Impending Doom Scion. Oh, I guess that's a Scion build that would go here. But I don't know how it is with Curse Ground Support, and if you don't have Vixen Gloves. Volatile Dead Necromancer. I have Winter Trap Sabo. I'm not too sure about that, but I think it's just a Jungron bait. Toxic Rain Champion. However, that's beaten out by other builds, so... But it's still a good build for sure. Fire SRS Guardian, you need to go like RF or something and swap into it. Fire SRS Guardian actually does a lot of damage. You just need to farm out the jewels. And it would probably be beaten by poison, but it still does a lot of damage. Blade Blast Occultist. It'll be tough to survive for a while, is the issue with it. But it does good damage for sure. Smite Lightning SRS Champion. Fire Trap Chieftain, and then Slayer Bone Shatter. That's about all the builds I could think of that would not be super terrible in Gauntlet.